This is Dr. Ravi Godse. I'm making a video on India's new policy of not recognizing the vaccinated British travelers, British citizens, and asking them to quarantine upon visiting India as a retaliatory tit for tat measure for what Britain is doing to vaccinated Indians. I want to give you a spoiler alert. Some of you are not going to like this video, but I'm going to say whatever is on my mind honestly. I think this is a bad idea because it hurts three groups of people, and all three of them are Indians. First is the British citizens of Indian origin, second is the Indian citizens going to Britain, and third is the Indian tourism industry. Let's look at the British citizens of Indian origin. They are Indian just for all practical purposes. Forget the color of their passport. And they were looking forward to visiting their family and loved ones. They are vaccinated and now they have to undergo this quarantine. Now, one would argue that these people chose to relinquish their Indian citizenship. They chose to become British citizens. Why should India care about them? Even people like me who are US citizens. India's embassy is not a building of brick and mortar where you go and submit your certified true copy of your mother-in-law's school living certificate when she was in Lahore in 1920s. That's not Indian embassy. Indian embassy and consulate resides in the heart of every Indian that is living and breathing and walking the streets of a foreign country. They are India's best ambassadors. They speak for India, they celebrate India, they love India, they are India. So this move unfairly targets these own people, your own people, our own Indians, and it makes them go through the hardship. Second group is the Indian students. Now, Indian students do well in British universities, and both the countries have historic ties, linguistic ties, ties of democracy. Now, these students are going to start their, especially the first year students, are going to start their education under the cloud of this reciprocity, this revenge, the tit for tat. I want to say something hard. It hurts, but it is true. So let's be practical. How many students from United Kingdom are coming to India for higher education? Hardly any. And many Indian students are going to higher education. This is just a fact. We need to improve on it, and we need to open education like Nalanda and Takshashila of educating Sanskrit to see if Sanskrit could be computer language. Archaeology means when we were writing Ashadhasya Prathama Divse, when we were writing Meghdud, most of the other civilization were picking fleas off of each other and swinging from the trees. We have to go back to that greatness and then attract other students. But right now, no UK students are coming to India. And the third group is Indian tourist industry. The Indian tourist industry was strangulated and cremated, and they're just trying to come back. And now we are going to discourage the British tourists who want to come to India to see whatever they are doing. See, the reciprocity, this tit for tat retaliation has to make sense, right? If it ends up hurting you, what's the point? Means, for example, if you are an Indian citizen and you are flying to United States via London and you are just changing planes in Heathrow, forget Heathrow to Gatwick, you are changing planes in Heathrow. At times, I don't know the current rule, the Indians were asked, despite their valid US visa, to take a British transit visa. I think that was ridiculous and that was moronic. And I don't want to call it racist, I'll come to that. But if you want to fight it, you fight it two ways. One way is you stop flying British Airways. You fly Air India. Improve Air India's service is to the par with all other international carriers, and then you fly direct to Newark, or you go via Germany, you go via Amsterdam, you go via any country that makes you not take the transit visa. But as a retaliation to that, if you start adding some regulation to British travelers who are coming to India, they will stop coming to India, they'll go to Thailand, they'll go to Sri Lanka, they'll go to Indonesia, and we lose their business too. David Ben Gurion, Israel's prime minister, took some money from Germany, and people in Israel were incensed, and they said, "You are taking money for our killed relatives in the Holocaust, and you are relinquishing our high moral position. How much, what was the cost of my grandmother? Tell me, Mr. Prime Minister." And David Ben Gurion responded, saying that they took our lives. I don't want them to also take our money. So it doesn't make sense, these reciprocity measures, if they are going to hurt yourself financially. And let's talk about racism a little bit. Now, what Britain did is head scratching. Means why would they not allow vaccinated Indians to come to UK like other countries without quarantine? I think it has something to do with the CoWIN app. I don't think it's really CoWIN app. Nobody's saying that the app is bad or like it is fake or something. But it could be something to do with Covaxin. Covaxin has turned out to be a great vaccine. It protects you against serious disease. But we didn't know that on January 3rd when India approved it. I think India debuted Covaxin under a bad air. They just totally mismanaged it. They should have, or on that day, the whole cabinet and the Prime Minister should have taken Covaxin to send a good message that we believe in it. Because they released it without the third phase 3 data, it created an atmosphere of suspicion, and that has lingered till now. But Covaxin has, in retrospect, Covaxin has turned out to be a great vaccine, and it is protecting people against serious disease. So Britain not accepting vaccinated Indians and accepting other countries, does it smack of racism? I don't know. Means, like, is it really? Suppose it is racism. Suppose it is racism. I'll say two things to it. How do you fight it? By hurting our own group of people or figuring out another way to fight it? And I would say one quick, really, really controversial thing about racism. I shouldn't say it, but in a way I'm a bit like Charles de Gaulle. I know what not to say where, but I still end up saying it. So here it is. We make a big deal out of when Britain was ruling India, that put boards saying that dogs and Indians not allowed, and how racist and how inflammatory and how bad and how we kick them out and all that. Britain did that to our people. But we did it to our own people for thousands of years, our own brothers and sisters who look like us, who are of the same genetic pool. We kept them out of our schools. We kept them out of our temples. We kept them out of prayer houses. So we shouldn't take this high moral position and preach equality and racism to other countries. We shouldn't do that. We should reflect. We should look at ourselves. Today is 2nd October, like Mahatma Gandhi was fond of saying, that if a Britisher looks at me as if I'm going to spit on the street, rather than correcting the Britisher, let me correct my other 10 Indian brothers who are spitting right now on the. Let's improve ourselves to the point where we don't have. So, is Britain racist? It could be, some policies. But do we have a moral right to tell them anything? I don't think so. I'm sorry, this is like a little too candid. If you don't like it, let me know. Dr. Ravi Godse.